I am the big tank.
On the battlefield of life, nothing's harder than a tank. Yeah, have you ever met a man, hearts full of love, bigger than a tank?
Big tank.
He served in a few wars, he's a veteran that stands for a cause. For the best interviews and news, just keep it glued to the
Tank. I
tank.
am the tank. Big
Big
tank.
Tank Talk.
Tank.
Big Tank Talk.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Big Tank Talk. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing WickedWomanLeatherWorks, a friend I met on Clapper. WickedWomanLeatherWorks, welcome to Big Tank Talk.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm happy you're here. I'm looking forward to hearing your answer to these questions and getting to know you a little bit better.
Awesome.
Without any further ado, I'm jump right in. The first question: what inspired you to become a leather craft person?
You know, I'm fourth generation rodeo. My kids being the fifth generation, and I just kind of always been around it. I mean, if we didn't do the leather work ourselves, but you know, if our tack broke down, we repaired it. If we needed a pair of chaps made, I was a little girl who would go behind the desk and see what they were doing, how they were making stuff. I was that little girl, so um, it just became a hobby basically, and then here I am now with my business. You know, that's kind of how it happened. Honestly, it was a hobby, and then it became my business. It was meant to be.
That's certainly fair. So, would you say that you now have a passion for what you do?
Oh, absolutely. I enjoy every minute of it. I really do.
When did you realize you had a passion for it?
I I guess when people, like I said before, just a hobby, but when people started um, coming to me with their stories, you know what I mean? Like, could you make this belt? And it might be just a belt to people who see it, but the people who ask for it were like, can you make this belt for me? It's you know, my grandmother died, or you know, and then it became, I was almost obsessed. I gotta, you know, I have to make this special for whoever is putting in the order, and it became kind of engraved in my head. It was like an obsession. It was an obsession. It was more
Well,
than a
there's nothing wrong with that. I assume it makes you better at what you do. So let me ask you this: um, how have you been? I assume you have your a unique style doing what you do. So how have you been able to develop that unique and recognizable style?
It's well, I have two children, so they're not so young anymore, but they kind of keep me in the here and now trends, but also I was really close to my grandparents and my parents, and so I kind of have a lot of the old style too, you know. So I kind of, I'm somewhere in the middle, I guess. I sway more towards the older style, but with a touch of the new, I guess. And that's how my style is mine. It is because of those two factors. I stay close with my kids, and they kind of keep me up to date, but yet I am so tied to that older generation.
Well, that makes sense to me. You take the old style that obviously worked
Yeah.
and combine it with the new, and it gives you a touch that's all your own. So I understand that. So let me ask you this: when somebody approaches you and they want you to work on a project, if it's something as simple as a belt, or maybe something more involved, what is your approach with that new project?
Well, the absolutely first thing I do is I try to get to know my customer. You know, if like I said, a lot of my orders are heartfelt orders, you know, so I want to get to know. I had one order, a gal wanted a belt again, and it was because her niece had committed suicide, and her niece's name was Lily, and she wanted these specific lilies across the belt. And you know, so I kind of got to know her. I heard the story. So I had to make it special for her. And that's what I do is I when I get an order like that in, I tend to pick the customer's brain and try to, put myself in their shoes to see where they're coming from. Because, not everybody likes old style, not everybody likes new style, but they all want it to be genuine to them. It's one-offs that means something to them. So I have to put myself in that customer's head. And then it starts flowing. Honestly, my drawing is lacking, but I get in their head and I start drawing stuff out, and I erase more than I draw, to be perfectly honest. And then when I place it on the leather and I start tooling, I start flowing, and hours will go by and it'll seem like minutes to me. I'll get that into it.
I understand that. So is it safe to say that the thing that drives you to continuously improve in your craft is your desire to ensure customer satisfaction?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Yes. Yes. That's what keeps the doors open, right? Is those happy customers.
Yeah, definitely. And happy customers are often repeat customers, and there's not a thing wrong with that. Now, you mentioned that you got into this being around rodeos and stuff. What's your earliest memories of working with your hands? Because I know leather work is a hands-on
It
thing.
is. It's very hands-on. Okay, working with leather with my hands, or working with my hands in general, because I grew up on a ranch. I don't remember not working with my hands. If we could walk, we were out helping build fence.
All
It
right.
could be just hand and nails. But
So the fair question would be, what was your earliest memory of working with leather than with your hand?
with leather, it would have to be just repairing and fixing leather. That would be, grade school, when we were fixing our own tack and stuff. But playing with leather and actually tooling and stuff, I didn't actually do that until later on. That only came maybe 8 years ago or so, when I started kind of playing around with it more and realized that what I could do.
That's fair. Now, considering all this, what is the most challenging aspect of your work?
Honestly, the business side is like my brain's cut in half. I have this artistic side, and then I have the business side, and the business side struggles. I have to actually make myself, comprehend what I need to do. And I have to give myself basic guidelines to do it, because my artistic side, it's good. But the business side, that's the one I struggle with.
I understand that. And this next question is I probably already know the answer, but I have to ask anyway. What's the most rewarding aspect of the work you do with leather?
It sounds so cliche, but it's the customers. It's the customers. It's when I can reach the customer, like, with the special orders that they're asking for. If I hit the nail on the head, I'm on cloud nine for weeks, sometimes months, depending on what it is. I had to do a purse for a lady one time she wanted all these deceased animals on it. She had to save her money to buy these animals because she didn't have a whole lot of money. And then she had them for years and years. They were very loved pets, and they were deceased. And she had me put their realistic faces all on this purse. And it was a hard job, honestly, to try to, make them realistic on leather, but I did it. And she cried and cried. And of course I cried because I was so happy. But, it's those kind of moments those are my most rewarding, are those moments.
I can absolutely understand that. What, and I have to tell you, I know nothing about working with leather. So this question may make sense to you and it may not. What's the role of technology in working with leather?
Well, it's kind of a back and forth thing for me. I don't do the laser engraving and all that stuff, but there's a lot of people are buying these engravers, and good for them. It'll take whatever design that you plug into the machine, and it'll laser engrave it on leather, and they're making a good business out of it. They really are. For me, my leathercraft is hands-on. I do it the old school way with my hammer and my tools, and I tool it out all by hand. So you get one-offs. So if whatever I make is a one of a kind. Now with a leather engraver, you can put an order in for like let's say a hat patch. You can order 500 of them and they'll be out in one day. All the same, exactly cut out. And that's great for a business. The downside of that is that whatever you put on that engraver, you're having it burned out on your leather, is
Right.
that there could be 50 other people or 500 other people who have the same exact thing that you do. For me, mine are one-offs again. Each thing I make is one of a kind.
I can appreciate that, and that would certainly make the products that you create highly desirable for people that want leather belts and purses and wallets and the like. And I certainly understand that perspective. So let me ask you this: how do you stay up to date on like current trends and techniques of in the leatherworking business?
I'm a big talker, so if I see any leather work at all, I'm asking questions. I'm getting to know, But a lot of the times, if it's the handmade leather work, I can look at something and figure it out. That's how my brain works. And as far as keeping up with the what people are wanting or what's the newest trend, I can make something out of leather. Like I said, I have kids that are both in their 20s, and they keep me up to date pretty good on that. And also I stay active in the rodeo world and the biker world and all that, so I can kind of see what's coming and going. If a certain type of purse is big this year, I'll know it because I keep in touch with those younger people. I watch, if that
I
makes
would
sense.
imagine, yeah, I would imagine being active in the rodeo world and the biker world would keep you up to date on the trends because they're heavy in leather
Yeah.
and wearing leather and having a lot of leather. Uh, uh, what is the word I'm looking for? Accoutrements, for want of a better word. So let
Right.
me ask you. Um, you've talked quite a bit about the process that you go in creating these individual leather works that I consider, if it's individual, to me it's like a work of art. And I tip my cap to you for being able to do that. But what's your favorite part of the process?
It's the picking of the brain. That's kind of hard to say because I enjoy all of it. I really do. The only part I don't enjoy is the stitching, but I like the picking of the brain to try to see if I can get on the same wavelength as my customer. I like putting it on leather. Like I said, time flies by when I'm doing it. But when I put it all together, I enjoy that too. I enjoy all of it. I really do. The stitching part gets monotonous, but I enjoy all of it.
Oh, that's good. It's not really a job if you enjoy what you do, and I kind of like that.
Right.
So let me ask you, what is in the leatherwork business?
Hmm.
What are some of the biggest challenges facing people that do work with leather?
Okay, a lot of it is the technology we're just speaking of, but it's also people who buy off Amazon, for instance, or Walmart, or the mass-produced items versus the one-of-a-kind handmade items. That's the biggest problem I think we have as leather workers, is people think that if I can buy a purse for $20 off of Amazon or Walmart, then your one-of-a-kind hand tooled purse should be the same price. And
Right.
that's the biggest obstacle, because they don't, just the cost of leather alone, then plus your time doing it's not the same. The quality is not the same. It's but that's the biggest deal, is people always associate with your leather work with the mass produced items, and you just can't do that.
Much like my friends that are woodworking craftsmen, and you are a leatherworking craftsman. People need to understand that when you get that one of a kind product, be it made wood or leather, there's time and, not just materials, but the time invested, the uniqueness of it, that you're not going to get duplicated off an assembly line kind of production. They really need to think about that and not expect to get something for nothing. So I definitely understand that. So how do you see the future of working with leather?
Honestly, I'm in the process right now of expanding my shop out. I'm taking over more of my house. We're remodeling the house, and I'm able to have a shop in my home, so I'm fortunate for that. But now I'm taking over again as much. We're remodeling the house, and it's actually my husband's idea. So, awesome. But yeah, that's what I'm expanding, and I'm bringing more leather in, and because honestly, my orders don't slow down. I'm always backed up, always, and I fill my orders in the orders I receive them. So it's time to expand. I'm pretty cramped in here right now, but so I'm expanding, and I hope to advertise more and get my name out there more, and see where we can go.
Sounds really good. And expanding not a bad thing. Being backed up because people like what you do, so you're always getting orders. That's not a bad thing either.
No, I'm very blessed.
One last question I'd like to ask you. For someone that, for example, sees what you do and thinks to themselves, I'd like to work with leather. What advice would you give them?
Learn the business side first. Honestly, learn the business side first. And then get to know your customers. Don't hide behind a computer screen, for instance. Meet people, socialize with them, but business first. You have to know the business side first.
Wise advice, especially if somebody wants to make a career out of it.
Yeah.
You got to know the business side if you're going to have any success at it.
Absolutely.
At this point, I don't have any more questions, but what I do have is I want to provide the opportunity for you to do a shout out, whether it be for somebody or something, a product you've made or people you've worked with. It could be family. Personally, I don't care what you shout out. I just think it's a fair thing for me to give the people I interviewed this opportunity. So I'm offering you the opportunity.
Well, thank you for that. And I think first and foremost, I need to shout out my husband and my two kids, because honestly, I don't think I would have the confidence enough to start my business if it wasn't for their encouragement. I mean, they encouraged it from day one, and they have backed me relentlessly to follow this, to keep at it and do it. And then I have to thank my loyal customers, because without them, this couldn't be possible either. So family and loyal customers, top two, bam. I mean, it's without them, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing what I love doing.
That's a brilliant shout out. And you're right. Without customers, what are you doing? Yeah. So I definitely understand that. Well, my friends, that's a window into a little bit of what makes Wicked Woman Leatherworks who she is and what she does. If you feel like there were questions I should have answered but didn't, please put it in the comments. I will bring that to her attention, and I will either get an answer from her and respond with her answer, or I would encourage her to answer it herself, because she'll be able to look in and see what comments are made as well.
Yeah.
In the meantime, please like this interview and subscribe, because I got more great stuff coming. Wicked Woman Leatherworks, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here with me today, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Tank. I enjoyed myself.
It's been a pleasure. You have a good day.
You too. Okay, bye-bye.